You ever have a moment where you just do something no plan, no thinking, just pure gut feeling, and it turns your life upside down? That's exactly what happened to me the day I gave up my seat in business class, thinking I was just being polite, but ended up in a story I couldn't have dreamed up if I tried. Yeah, that happened. See, up until that flight, airplanes were like shooting stars to Mevisible, distant, and for someone else. I grew up in a world where luxury meant getting a hot meal after mom's double shift at the hospital, not folding myself into a leather seat with a menu fancier than anything I'd ever seen on TV. But then this letter showed up with a blue seal and my name on it, saying I'd been chosen for a scholarship conference in Zurich, everything paid, and the ticket, it was business class. I must have read that letter 10 times before I called my mom. She just started crying, and I sat there, holding that letter, thinking maybe for once the world was finally opening a door for us. I spent the week prepping, bought a thrift store suit, had old Mr. Clyde down the hall tailored up for a few bucks, shined my only pair of dress shoes, and packed everything I owned that looked halfway professional into a suitcase with a busted wheel. The night before my flight, I didn't sleep. I just sat on my bed, staring at a photo of Mom holding me as a baby, and promised out loud, I'll make it count. Fast forward to the airport, first time ever. I show up 3 hours early, hands sweating, trying to look like I belonged among these people in crisp suits and $1,000 shoes. The business class lounge is another planet's off the lights. Free food, people acting like it's just another Tuesday. I kept thinking someone would tap me on the shoulder and say, "Excuse me, sir, you don't belong here." But nobody did. The flight boards, and suddenly I'm being guided to my seat 3A by the window by a flight attendant who looks like she stepped out of a movie. The chair basically hugs me. The menu's got words I can't pronounce. And for a second I'll let myself imagine, maybe this is where I was meant to be. But you know how life works. Just when you start to settle in, the universe throws you a curveball. Not even 20 minutes in the air, I noticed this weird tension in the cabina, kind of hush, but sharp around the edges. Then I see her, an old woman, maybe late 80s, moving so slowly down the aisle you could count the seconds between each step. Her hands grip a walker, knuckles white, face tight with pain. She looks lost, more fragile than anyone I've ever seen. And everyone, I mean everyone, is just watching. Not a soul moves. There's that invisible wall, money, class, whatever, you could feel it. People peeking over newspapers, acting like she's a problem to be solved by someone else. I'm watching her, remembering how my mom would drag herself home, and it hits me in the gut. She can't make it to her seat in the back. Not a chance. The flight attendant tries to help her, but the woman shakes her head, whispers, "I can't make it that far." There's this awkward pause too long, and without thinking, I just stand up. "She can have my seat," I blurt out, barely recognizing my own voice. A few folks glance up. A guy in a tie makes some snarky comment under his breath, but I don't care. The attendant looks relieved. I help her sit, tuck her blanket around her, and step into the aisle, suddenly very aware of all the eyes on me. Now, let me tell you, economy on international flight is a whole different world. Cramped, noisy, tray table stuck, guy next to me snoring and smelling like cold fries. But I sit there, looking back down the aisle, and I feel something weird peace. Not pride, not regret, just this quiet sense I'd done the only thing I could have done. About an hour later, the woman next to me in economy slides me a biscuit from a Ziploc bag, says, "Not many people would have done what you did." I shrug, didn't think about it, just felt right. She smiles, goes back to her book. The rest of the flight is long, uncomfortable, me knees ache, can't sleep, but I keep picturing that old woman, hoping she's comfortable, and it makes every cramp worth it. When we land in Zurich, I wait for the crowd to clear, then wander up toward business class, half curious, half worried. She's still there, now, sitting upright, her face calm, like the whole world finally slowed down for her. She sees me, pats the seat next to her. I hesitate, then sit down. She hands me a folded letter, official looking, heavy paper. I read the name, Dr. Elizabeth Holloway. My mind blanks. Dr. Holloway? I'd seen her on TV award shows. Peace Talk's always the person in the room who actually mattered. She just watches me, a little smile on her lips. "You didn't know who I was, did you?" she asks, voice soft but steady. I shake my head, feeling like a fool. That's what made it real, she whispers, then tells me about her life 40 years working in war zones, fighting for people who had nothing, but lately feeling lost, invisible even in a crowd. She says, that's all I ever wanted to be seen as, just a person. Then, twist of fate, she pulls out a card, pressed with a wax seal, hand it to me. It's a grant. Lifelong access to her foundation for any project that lifts others. Don't use it to chase numbers, she tells me. Use it to chase meaning. My hands are shaking. I don't know what to say, but she nods. You already earned it. And just like that, the plane, the conference, the suit, none of it matters as much as what happens next. Back home, I open a Center Holloway Center for Youth Innovation. Just 2 rooms, 12 desks, donated laptops, peeling paint, and a bunch of kids who look at me the way I used to look at the world hungry for a shot. The grant covers the basics, but it's the trust that means everything. Months fly as students building real apps, parents dropping off dinners, local paper running a story. I keep the card in my jacket, never brag about it. I want them to believe in themselves, not a name on the wall. And then, one day, a letter arrives. Dr. Holloway has passed away. There's a note, written in her hand. A single quiet act of kindness can still echo the loudest. I sit in my tiny office, center buzzing outside the door, and cry for the first time in years, not from sadness, but from purpose. Years pass, the center grows, we open a second location. One of my students comes back to teach. The walls fill with photo skids who now believe they can shape the world. Every so often, I take out that card, read her words again, and remember that day on the plane. Remember that kindness isn't about applause or reward, it's about showing up when it matters. And sometimes, like at the opening of our new center, I tell the story. I tell them about a flight, a seat, and a moment when I acted before I thought. I remind them that you never know what a single decision can become. A little girl draws me a picture, helping someone onto a plane, kids following across a bridge of light. I want to be like you when I grow up, she says. I kneel down, look her in the eye, and say, don't be like me, better. Go farther. So what about you? Do you think the small things those moments nobody sees can really change a life? Or are we just kidding ourselves in a world too big, too loud for kindness to matter? Tell me in the comments, what's your story? Where do you draw your line between comfort and compassion? And if this story made you feel something, share it with someone who needs to hear it. You never know who you might inspire next.